In the previous session, we have seen about how to communicate between a node and cloud. So in the previous session, we have seen getting data from Open Weather Map Cloud to the Raspberry Pi node. Okay, so today we are trying to see how to send data from Raspberry Pi to ThingSpeak Cloud. So I'll be showing you again. Before that, so I'll be taking few minutes on how to. So what are the various research areas you should work on for DST projects and paper publications? I'll be taking only few minutes for that, as I told you in the previous class. So all of you, I'll be sharing my screen to you. So my screen is visible, right? Yeah, Sandeep, my screen is visible, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, 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 right. So all of you, so most of you are doing research in, maybe you are a research scholar, or maybe as a postdoctoral student, or maybe as a professor, you are working in different areas of, research. So how to get funding is one of the key thing, and how to publish papers in the latest trending technologies. That's other thing. Most of you may be uh, already doing that, or some of you are facing some issues with that. Okay, so if you are having some issues with that, so how to publish easily? Okay, how to do this research with very easily. So when we talk about research, it is actually not easy, but so there are ways by which you can make it easy. Okay, so first I will be talking about research focus. So remember always, the success in academics purely depends on the funding and paper publications. Okay, these two are essential for any researcher who are in academics, or maybe you are working in a research institution. These two are essential. So if you see the current DST projects, okay, so there are two active DST projects, you can apply for. One is one proposal on a device development program. So device development program, it is very not specific, but it is general. Okay, it's a very general. So you can design some prototype and you can apply for this program. So now you have total 10 days to apply for it. So 10 days is okay, you can do. Okay, you can try and design your own um, prototype. So because today most of the DST proposals, they are asking for prototype. Okay, previously one write up is enough. Okay, so now they are actually asking us for prototypes also. So prototype is very important. So you need to design your own prototype before applying for this particular program. And there is another proposal, designing and developing energy storage devices for rural household or enterprise applications. The last date is actually 31st December. So you have plenty of time for this, but most of you are from electrical, not from electrical, you are from electronics and communication department, right? But there are opportunities. Remember, you can collaborate with the researchers, try to collaborate with some one or two electrical professors, and you can write this proposal. Okay, so you can apply some IoT for improving energy storage, or you can add some prediction strategies for increasing storage capabilities. Yes, you can try doing that. At the same time, you can predict demand. You can try doing that. So in collaboration with computer science and electrical department, you can do that. Okay, so even device development program. So I have seen many people who got these IoT or machine learning or embedded type of DST projects. What they are now doing is very simple projects. Okay, so sometimes we see how government is giving this much of fund for this particular project. I can develop that in 1 lakh, but faculty are getting 15 lakhs, 20 lakhs of money for implementing the same project. Okay, so try to understand this. So there is a much potential for you. So, and there is no high end product to be developed. You can try with a simple application, not a big application. So what are the simple applications you can apply for? What are the simple applications? I'll be telling you what are the simple applications you can try for. For example, always think about societal problem. Okay, remember all of you, problem should be big or real. This is important and genuine. If you know that there is a problem which is big, real and genuine, and you already know technology to solve that, you know the technology to solve this big or real or genuine problem, then you can apply this. Then you can apply this. So combine this technology to solve this big problem or real problem. So one simple example, okay, take in India, if you take post harvesting, post harvest, in post harvest, maybe for grains, take grains or take onions or take vegetables or take fruits. Do you know, if you study about post harvest losses in India, they are accounting for 30 to 50% losses in post harvest. Do you know, fruits, the 30 to 50% are they are being wasted or spoiled after harvesting. Even vegetables also. You know why onion prices are increased? So one thing is middleman, another one is spoilish. There are two things present in this onion price increase. And grains management. So remember how you can solve this problem, how you can reduce this 30 to 50%. If you can reduce this 30 to 50% to 10 to 20% post harvest loss, yes, you are successful. So if you are trying to do this, yes, then what is the technology to do that? How to sense spoilage? How to sense spoilage? How to detect spoilage? Okay, so we know that for fruits or vegetables, you can detect spoilage. There are already papers existing in IEEE and elsewhere. Springer, you can find those papers. So some people tried for onions, but they did not try for garlic. Okay, for example, they did not try for garlic. Why don't you try for garlic? Okay, so why don't you try for garlic? Okay, or some people tried for paddy, and why don't you try for wheat? Why don't you try for wheat? Okay, so see, the problem should be genuine, but solution can be simple. Solution can be simple. Okay, so you need to detect the spoilage. You need to detect whether this particular grain store, for example, you have a storage facility for grains, and the grains present in the store is going to get spoiled. You need to identify that. So general identification, you have to use some gas sensors. Remember all of you, generally we use gas sensors, moisture content in the grains, temperature, and CO2. Okay, so we need to measure CO2, and then sulfides content, volatile, so contain different types of gas contains in VOC. So you can try for finding those uh, you know uh, those contents. By finding those contents, you can easily predict whether this particular grain is going to spoil, or onions are going to get spoiled, or vegetables are going to get spoiled, or fruits are going to get spoiled. Okay, if you try and build a simple prototype, so believe you can get 20 lakhs to 30 lakhs funding for such type of projects. It's easy. Believe that you can get funding for such type of projects. Okay, how many of you are trying such type of projects in your projects? If you are trying, please let me know, because I'll be helping you all for doing that. Okay, so all of you can try doing that. So anyone trying for such projects, all of you? See, always remember, most of you, please try to understand the project. The projects that you think, most of us used to think this should be a high end project. it should be a smart car I should develop to get the funding. No, no need. Okay, so government of India looks for how they can solve the existing problems. We know that agriculture policy came into existence. Right now, it is now they are going to implement. We know the food policy. Okay, so you try to understand environmental policy. Try to understand. So how you can apply the technology for solving those problems. Okay, then you will get easily funding. And research papers, when you come to the research papers, okay, so you can publish the papers, all of you. So don't worry, don't pay for publishing papers. Okay, most so many people are paying to get published. Okay, they will be paying to somebody who will write the paper. Don't pay for doing this research, and don't pay for it. Okay, but you can learn. Okay, if somebody is helping you to learn, yes, you learn. And try to do some research, and you don't know how to write the papers, then get help from somebody else and try to publish that paper. If you are able to publish one single paper, yes, it is possible to publish 10 papers within 2 years. Okay, so try to do this paper publication. So if you want to do paper publication, the simple thing is try to apply for existing problems as I discussed. Okay, so we have smart sensors and IoT, so you can combine these two in order to publish a Scopus paper or SAI paper, or you can apply IoT and machine learning to solve the existing problem, or you can apply IoT and analytics to solve the existing problem. And you want to solve problems in industries. Don't consider big industries. So many people try to consider big industries. Okay, so but what about small industries? Have you ever thought about small industries? Can you apply IoT and CPS, cyber physical system concepts, to a small and medium scale industries? If you try doing that, yes, you can get a paper published. Okay, so I will show you one simple example. Okay, so if you want to publish, first thing is try to identify few students in your class. Okay, few students or few researchers. So it is always good to identify students, okay, those who are doing research. And if they are not doing research, make them to learn IoT, make them to learn, because it is always good to have few students, 5 or 6 students, to be with you, so that they can actually doing this research and you will be guiding them. Okay, so you can focus on application to solve real problems. Okay, and use latest technology to solve it. Focus on these areas, all of you: agriculture, environment, health, livelihood, small and medium scale enterprises. Okay, and then infrastructure for development. Okay, focus on this area also. So if you focus on these areas, I am sure that you are going to get funding, as well as you'll be publishing research papers also. Okay, so and then take a simple example. Suppose there is a paper, prediction of onion quality using IoT and ML. Now you have seen this paper. Okay, so what you already published, but you want to do some research in this type of area, then how to do this? So instead of onion, try giving here potato, prediction of potato quality. And instead of here they have used IoT with sensors, why don't you use smart sensor here? And in machine learning they have used some regression techniques. Why don't you use some decision tree algorithms or some other machine learning algorithm to do this? So what you have to do is try changing this technology, try changing this particular instead of onion, try to use another vegetable, or use some grain. Try searching in the internet, and try to find various journals and check whether it is present or not. If potato is not present, then go with that. If strawberry, for example, you want to predict the quality of strawberry, yes, check for strawberry. If strawberry is not present, okay, then go with the strawberry and try to do some research. And don't follow these paper techniques, try to modify these techniques, then easy, you can publish the paper. Okay, so you are doing very minimal work, but you are getting a very good research credentials. That's important. Okay, so this is clear to you, right, all of you? So I hope this will give you some understanding about how to go forward with your research. Okay, so now I will start my work. So now we'll be doing hands-on session, all of you, as we discussed. Today's hands-on session will be first session will be on ThinkSpeak. ThingSpeak. So what we are trying to do is, so we have a node here. This is the node, all of you. Node. So what is a node? Node is an end device. So node consists of a microcontroller plus sensors and then connectivity. So along with the microcontroller, you need to have some electronic circuitry. Okay, so the combination of all these components together is called as a node. Okay, here I'll be using my Raspberry Pi to design a node. Raspberry Pi plus, I'll be using a sensor here, DH11. So most familiar and most of you know about this sensor, DH11 sensor, to measure temperature and humidity. You can measure temperature and humidity values. Okay, so I'll be combining Raspberry Pi with DH11 sensor, and I'll be reading temperature values and humidity values. Once we read temperature and humidity values, the next step is we have to send this data collected at the node level. So remember, we are collecting temperature and humidity values at the node level. Once these temperature and humidity values are collected at the node, the next step is we have to send this data to the cloud. So here we are talking about ThingSpeak Cloud. So it is always good to go with simple clouds, all of you, for research. Always remember, it is good to go with the simple clouds, because it will reduce your time in doing things. Okay, you can go and do fast research with the simple clouds. So one of the simple cloud most of the researchers use in IoT is ThingSpeak, because it supports MATLAB also. Okay, so that's why people prefer ThingSpeak, because it supports MATLAB analytics also. Okay, because this is actually developed by MATLAB company. Okay, MathWorks company, who developed MATLAB. Okay, so right, so we want to send data from the node to the cloud. To send data from node to the cloud, first thing is you have to connect your node to the network. So network. Okay, so you can connect to the network through some connecting technology. We know that Raspberry Pi is having 3 connecting technologies. What are the 3 connecting technologies our Raspberry Pi is having? One is Wi-Fi, another one is Bluetooth, and then Ethernet. Now I'll be using Wi-Fi network. So by using Wi-Fi, we'll be connecting Raspberry Pi to the network. Then your Raspberry Pi will be getting internet access. Once your Raspberry Pi is getting internet access, then we have to connect to the cloud, ThingSpeak Cloud. Okay, so we have seen how to connect to the cloud in the previous session. We have used HTTP, right? And there is a method called as get. We have used HTTP get method in order to connect to the open weather map cloud. So today we are going to use HTTP, and then we will try to explore MQTT to connect to the cloud, all of you. Okay, I'll be showing you. First, what we are going to do is interfacing and getting data. After getting data, we'll be sending that data to the cloud. Right. So what are the steps to be followed here? So all of you, please open your ThingSpeak. So all of you have signed up, right? You have created an account, right? All of you created account, right? Have you created account? All of you? So once you have account, so it's simple. If you have not done, okay, so you can sign up here, go here, and you will see here email. Okay, so if you already created an account, if you have MathWorks account, you can sign in with MathWorks account. Okay, no need to create again. You can directly use your MathWorks account. Okay, that is MATLAB account. If you have already account, yes, you can use. If you don't have account, then you have to click here, create one. Okay, so give email address, location, first name, last name, continue. So it will take couple of minutes to create this account. So my suggestion is you try to create your own account. Okay, because I'm not going to spend much time with the creation of the account. Okay, because it's like Gmail sign up. Okay, so you can try this, all of you. So once you sign up, the next step is you have to log in. So I'll be logging into my ThingSpeak account. Okay, so what is ThingSpeak? Try to understand. ThingSpeak is a cloud platform, IoT cloud platform, where we can store sensor data. Okay, you can store sensor data in ThingSpeak Cloud. Okay, so one thing is you can store data, you can analyze data, you can visualize data, and you can act upon data. So you can do four important things with ThingSpeak Cloud, all of you. So what are the four things you can do? One, storing data. Second point, you have to you can analyze data. Third, you can visualize data, means you can represent data pictorially. Okay, you can do that. And fourth, you can actually act upon data. Okay, based on the sensor data, you can activate various devices like motors. You can turn on the lights, you can turn on the fan, you can turn on the machine, you can turn on the refrigerator. So you can act on the data. Based on the data, you can actually control various devices also. Okay, so now I'll be signing into my ThingSpeak account, all of you. So sign in, give username and password. So once you sign in, you will see this ThingSpeak and my channels. So remember always, what is a channel? So channels are meant for collecting data, sensor data. So we are going to use channel to collect sensor data coming from the node. So our node is Raspberry Pi. Okay, so it is with me, and most of you are having Raspberry Pis, right? I think Sandeep sir and Venkatesh sir and others also working parallelly with me, right? So and other faculty also doing parallelly. So if you have Raspberry Pi, do parallelly with me. Okay. So now all of you, we have to send from your Raspberry Pi to ThingSpeak Cloud. Okay. So the data coming from your node will be stored in a channel. For free, you can get up to 4 channels. Okay, for free account in ThingSpeak, you can create 4 channels. In each channel, in each channel, you can store 8 sensors data. Okay, remember, in a single channel, you can store 8 sensors data. Okay, total 4 into 8. 32 sensors data can be stored in a free single ThingSpeak account. Okay, so it is sufficient for you to do some research. Okay, so now click on new channel of you. To create a channel, first you have to click on new channel. Now you will see the name of the channel. Give some name. So GVP FTP IoT channel. So give some name here, and then description. You can give any name for the channel and give the description. Weather station. So give some description. This may not be mandatory. Okay, so you can give this, all of you. So we'll be measuring temperature, humidity, and you can measure a lot. So you can measure about 8 sensors data, but here I'll be measuring only um, 2 sensors data, and I'll be getting the data into ThingSpeak Cloud. So now once you write the description, below you will see fields: field 1, field 2, field 3, field 4, field 5, field 6, field 7, field 8. So what is the field? Remember, all of you, field is the location in a channel where you will be storing sensor data. Each field represents one storage location for the sensor. Okay, so each field will be assigning to one single sensor. So I'll be doing that. So field, here you have to, all of you have to check this box to enable this field one. So now I'll be changing this name, temperature field. So field 1 is temperature. Okay, and field 2, please check this box to enable this field 2. This is a field 2. Field 2, give here humidity. So this is a temperature, field 1, and field 2 is humidity. And then you can give enable and give the names also, but now for now I am not doing this. Metadata, this is optional. Okay, this is not mandatory. So you can enter some here, about your channel. You can give some information here, and tags also you can provide. so that the tags are nothing but the keywords, all of you, so that some other people who are searching for your channel can find if you make it public. Okay, and then you can give your website. If you have a GitHub link, you can provide GitHub, but these are not mandatory. Okay, so you can show channel location, you can show video, and you can do a lot of things, but I'm not going to enter all these fields. No need. So thing is, you have to give the name, and you have to give field 1 and field 2 and other fields if you want. Okay, once you do that, the next step is you have to save channel. Save channel, all of you, please click on save channel. Once you click on save channel, now you will see the channel information. So you'll be seeing your channel information here. So all of you can see here, right? So you will see here the channel name. This is the channel information description. This is the channel ID, which is unique channel ID. So this channel ID is mine. Your channel ID is different. Okay, so each one will have his own channel ID. And when you come here, this is the private view. We are now, because we have made it private, so initially it is private, so no one can see your data. Okay, but you can make it public so that anyone wants, suppose somebody wants to see weather in your college, then you can make it public so that everyone can see the data. Okay, so currently it is private. Now if you see here, channel statistics created less than a minute ago, entries 0 entries, means we did not send data to this field 1 chart. Here you will see field 1. So in ThinkSpeak, the data stored will be displayed in these fields. So graphically, we'll be seeing this data here in this field 1 and field 2. Field 1 chart will be giving temperature graphically, and field 2 will be showing you the humidity graphically. These two are purely based on the time series data coming from your node. Remember, so we are plotting here time series data. So the x-axis is time and y-axis is temperature. Here in this field 2, x-axis is time and y-axis is humidity. Okay, so the data that's coming to these fields, ThinkSpeak channel will be plotted here. Okay, right. So now the important thing here is API keys. All of you can see here API keys. So remember, every cloud platform will have its own API keys. These are all secret keys. Okay, with this key you can control a home. For example, if you know the API key of a smart home, yes, you can control a home. If you know the keys of secret keys of a industry, yes, you can control the machines in the industry. These are the secret keys. Okay, so they should be because for security purpose, always we have to keep it secure, but we are learning for demo purpose, no problem. So there are two types of keys, all of you. Here you will see write API key, another one is read API key. All of you can see here, this is the write API key and this is the read API key. So what is write API key, what is read API key, when to use write API key, when to use read API key? So all of you are following, right? So if you are not able to follow, please let me know. So no worries. Okay, you can ask me in between. I am here to help you all. Okay, right. So any questions so far, all of you? So I'll be going forward. Okay, so all of you have created, right? Okay, right. So what is write API key? So write API key is very useful to write data to the channel. What is the meaning of writing data to a channel? Means, for example, your node MCU, for example, your node Raspberry Pi is collecting data, right? So I'll be showing you that here. So for example, you have a node, Raspberry Pi node here. This is your node, all of you. And this is the ThinkSpeak cloud. This is the ThinkSpeak cloud. Now we want to send data from here to here. It means your Raspberry Pi is writing data to the ThinkSpeak cloud. Okay, in such case, suppose you want to send data from here to ThinkSpeak cloud, then we need to use write API key. Write API key. Okay, so suppose you want to read data from ThingSpeak Cloud. For example, you have data in ThingSpeak Cloud, some public channel. Suppose your, some of your friend already using sensors, but you are unable to buy those sensors, but data is available in ThingSpeak Cloud, and he has given his authentication token. He is uploading the data to this ThingSpeak channel. Now you want to read the data into your Raspberry Pi for doing some analysis. So now you have to read the data. Okay, to read data from ThingSpeak Cloud into your Raspberry Pi node, then you need read API key. I hope this is clear, right? So, but there is other purpose also, but I'm just explaining these two so that it will be clear to you. Okay, so you can send data from Raspberry Pi to ThingSpeak Cloud by using write API key, and you can read data from ThingSpeak Cloud to Raspberry Pi by using read API key. So here we want to send data from Raspberry Pi to ThingSpeak Cloud, so we have to use write API key, all of you. So we have write API key here. This is a write API key. So we'll be using my, so this is my write API key. You can have your API key. So as I already told you, to send data to the cloud or to get data from the cloud, we need API keys. We need API call. Okay. So that is important. Okay. So remember, if you see here, API request, all of you can see in this page, API request. To write a channel feed, you have a request. So you can send data from Raspberry Pi to the ThingSpeak Cloud by using this API call. Remember, every cloud platform will give this information. Okay, so no need to worry, no need to construct on our own. Okay, because they will be giving this information. So it is easy if you know these requests. Okay, so it is very common to communicate with every cloud. If you know how to work with a one cloud, you can communicate with other clouds also. It is easy. Okay, so now you got a link. So copy this link, all of you. Copy this link. So I'll be giving this link to you, but don't use my link. Okay, because this link, yes, we can change later on. There is a question. Okay, CPS, do we look for security aspects in API keys? Yes, 100% API keys are secure. Remember always, API keys here in ThingSpeak, we see only API keys, but in other, if you see IBM Cloud or Microsoft Azure, there is a question, all of you. I'll be speaking that question loud so that you can understand this question. The question is, in CPS, means cyber physical systems, do we look for security aspects in API keys? Yes, 100% we have to check for, not just API keys, we have to check with other things also, because uh, security is prime concern in cyber physical systems and industry 4.0. So people more concerned about security, so there actually they use a two-layer security, where first you will be accessing through the API keys, and then you'll be having a token system where your device will have device tokens. Okay, so I'll be showing that to you all. Okay, how in enterprises, in industries, how we have to make devices secure, more secure. Okay, I'll be showing you that in IBM Cloud now. Okay, and another question, can we change these API keys? Yes, you can change these API keys. So for example, if you want to change API keys, yes, you can generate. So there is option generate new write API key. Yes, you can generate. Okay, once I have given this API key, you'll be using. For example, somebody copied and using, and I don't want to continue with this, so I can click here to generate new API key. Okay, right. So all of you, so to send data, you can use this particular API call. So copy this URL. This is the URL through which you can send data. So I'll be pasting this URL here, all of you. See, all of you, here we have the URL. So copy that URL and paste in your browser tab. Okay, once you paste, and you will see this https:// so all of you, please follow this link. Okay, so I'll be pasting this so that it will be easy for you. Please observe. So I'll be pasting that link in the chat box. Okay, please check that, all of you. So if you see here https:// api.thingspeak.com/update question mark API underscore key. So if you see here up to question mark, this is the path, all of you, resource path, okay, where actual resources are available. So if you want to reach to the ThingSpeak cloud, then this is the path, https://api.thingspeak.com/update. And then after question mark, remember always after question mark, you will see the query parameters, queries, okay. So you will see two queries here. One query, API key. So API key is to access your channel. Okay, if you want to access your channel, then you have to use your API key. This is essential. Once you access your channel, so now you entered into your channel, the next step is you have to send data to field 1. Suppose you want to send data to field 1. Okay, to send data to the field 1, you have to add field 1 here. So I'll be giving here 120. Suppose field 1 I'll be sending 25 and press enter. When I press enter, so I send the data. Go to private view. So okay, I think 4 people have clicked my link, right? Of you. So that's why I could see that 4 points, because some of you have used my link, right? You have clicked it, so that's why I got 0 0 0. Right now I have sent again, somebody used 0, I got. Okay, so right, so don't use for a while. I'll be explaining now. So 20, this is you can use your own, okay. So because you are using my API key, so I'll be getting the data into my ThingSpeak cloud, all of you, okay. So now I have posted 25 here. So how I have posted data to this ThingSpeak cloud? So through the URL. So this is the browser. I already told you the browser is a HTTP client. Always remember, all of you, browser. What is a browser? Always remember what is a browser. Browser is a client, HTTP client. So you can send data from the browser to any server. Okay, so here the server is ThingSpeak cloud is a server. So when you paste your link and press enter, actually you are trying to send from this browser to this ThingSpeak cloud your own data. So you'll be sending ThingSpeak data to this particular ThingSpeak cloud. So you'll be sending temperature and humidity values. Okay, where you find temperature and humidity values. So if you see here, field 1 is equal to, right? So field 1, actually we have to send temperature, right? But I'm sending some dummy values. This is a dummy value, right? So what we are trying to send is the values which are dummy, right? It is not real temperature values. Okay, temperature values generally will be in real time. Those are dynamic, so they will be changing, okay, over the time. But here these are the static. But I'll be showing another value. So I'll be sending 31 from this browser. I'll be making HTTP get request. When I press enter, I'll be making HTTP get. So press enter. When you press enter, so here I'll be seeing a number 8, means total 8 entries, means 8 entries means total 8 points I should see here, right? 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. So here I sent 31, so I got 31 here, right? So 25 initially I have sent, and 31 somebody sent 0 0 here. Okay, so you can see this, all of you. I hope you are able to understand this. Can you understand this, all of you? How to send data from a browser to this ThingSpeak cloud, okay, from a client to server. So again, I'll be sending humidity also to the humidity field. How to send to the humidity field 2 chart. So you have to add this field 2 parameter, you have to add, because this parameter is not available in this link. So how to add? So here use unsymbol, ampersand symbol, and field 2. So we are extending the link here, all of you. So how we are extending? By using the unsymbol, okay, and field 2 is equal to some 70, and press enter. So we should see 2 values here. One temperature is 31, and humidity I should get humidity values also. So I got humidity value here 70, right? All of you can see here 70 value, right? So I got temperature 31 and humidity 70. So if you want to send 8 sensors data, then you have to add 8 sensors fields by using simply and field 3 equal to some value and field 4 is equal to some value. So you can extend this URL simply by extending the URL. You can increase the number of sensors. Okay, right. So I hope this is clear to you, right, all of you. So you are able to understand how we are sending data from HTTP client to the server. Now we are going to play with real data from the node. Okay, so I'll be opening my Raspberry Pi. So yes, this is my so open VNC viewer, all of you. Once you open the VNC viewer, you will see here, I'll be opening my Raspberry Pi. So you should know your Raspberry Pi IP address. Okay, so actually my Raspberry Pi is connected to local network, so directly I'll be connecting with that. There is no requirement for VNC account here. Okay, so please paste your IP address and press enter. So it will be asking you for authentication. Okay, authenticate. So my username, Raspberry Pi username Pi, and then I'll be giving password. So this is my Raspberry Pi. Now I entered into my Raspberry Pi. This is my Raspberry Pi. So now what we are trying to do is, so we are going to create a project. Okay, so we want to create a project to send data from Raspberry Pi to ThinkSpeak Cloud. Okay, so this is so simple, but still this will give you some concept to you. Okay, right. So what we are trying to do is, first I will show you how to work with this by using command, Python command prompts. So open Python. To open Python in Linux terminal, just type Python and then press enter. Now I have opened Python. So now I'm working in Python 2.7.13 version. So you can type here commands one by one here. Okay, all of you. So you can type, so Python program is so easy, like x equal to 2, right? X value is 2 here. So it's very simple. This is a Python command prompt. Now what I'm trying to do is, so I'll be trying to work with this sensor. Okay, DHT11 sensors. I'll be showing you DHT11 sensor here. So this is DHT11 sensor. So this is the DHT11 sensor, all of you. So DHT11 sensor will be having two sensors inside. One is temperature sensor, another one is humidity sensor. Temperature sensor is actually thermistor based sensor. Humidity sensor is actually capacitive based sensor. Okay, remember, so there is a two sensors. One is a temperature sensor based on thermistor principle. Another one is humidity sensor based on capacitive sensor based. Okay, right. So you inside of this DHW1 you will see this. Okay, so this is actually containing this is actually capacitive based sensor, and you will see here a microcontroller, 8-bit microcontroller, okay, for collecting raw data and to process. So DHW1 where sensor will be having sensors. Along with the sensors you will be having a inbuilt controller. Okay, that controller will be reading the raw data from thermistor and capacitive based sensor. Once it reads the data from thermistor and also from a capacitive based sensor, then it will be doing the processing, and it will be giving you the output pre-calibrated temperature values and humidity values. Okay, so it generally gives an example for smart sensor. We discussed about smart sensors, and you are listening about smart sensors from previous classes. So though DHW1 sensor is not actually a good smart sensor, but it is a cheap and affordable, anyone can buy and test it. But this smart sensor is having temperature sensor inside, humidity sensor, and then it is having a microcontroller. So directly the sensor will give you the pre-calibrated output through a single wire communication, So after this session, you have a session on how to communicate with smart sensors. You will get more details. What is a single wire communication? What is SPI? What is I2C? What is UART? So how you can communicate with different smart sensors. So in the afternoon session, you will have this by Ramesh. So you will get more details from him regarding communicating with smart sensors. Okay, so now I'll be focusing more on how to get data. That's my prime focus. So if you have a smart sensor, it is very easy, all of you. because everything is ready made. Okay, so everything is ready made because you have everything inside. Most of you are trying to develop such products among you. So you may be giving a ready made product where you can integrate that into IoT product. That's the advantage with the smart sensor. Okay, so our DHA11 sensor is having uh, you know uh, temperature sensor and humidity sensor. So we'll be getting the temperature and humidity values from this DHA11 sensor. Okay, so that is pre-calibrated. Now we have to read the data. So to read the data, we have to connect DHA11 sensor with the Raspberry Pi. So Raspberry Pi 3, I'll be connecting Raspberry Pi 3B. It is having general purpose input output pins. So I'll be connecting to one digital pin here, GPIO 21. So I'll be connecting to GPIO 21, all of you. So you have to connect to GPIO 21. So there are total 4 pins in that. One pin is null, okay, no connection pin. And there are 3 important pins. One is VDD, so you have to connect that to the 3.3 volts. You have to provide 3.3 volts, and ground should be connected to the ground. And data, so here this DH11 sensor is providing data from this pin. So this is actually digital data. So and then you have to separate that data. Okay, this data is available with this pin, data pin, and we have to connect that to any digital pin, and we have to read that data. Okay, so I'll be showing you that how to do this now. So once we made the connections, I'll be making connections at my end. So once connections are ready, then next step is we have to read the data. Okay, suppose already connections are made. Now we have to read the data. Read the data. So there are inbuilt libraries. Remember, always we need to make things simple. Okay, try to understand, all of you. We have to make things simple, because as a researcher you have to keep time in your research. Okay, when you are trying to do a product on application side, then so there are already pre-built, many things are available. So for example, there is a library, Adafruit DHT library, for reading data. Okay, so there is a DHT library, Python library is available. So you can go to that library, you can read about this particular library. So this library is already available for Python. Okay, you can read more about this particular library, and you can see the examples present in it. Okay, so I'll be sharing you this in the chat box, so that some of you can go through in your free time. Okay, so please go through that link, all of you. Okay, so I'll be using that library. So if you don't have that library, what you have to do, you have to install that, right? So how to install? So very simple to install, all of you. I'll be opening new tab. So sudo pip. So remember, to install Python libraries, you have to use pip. So this is a Python installation package, where you'll be installing all the packages. So generally all the packages will be available in pip, all of you. So pyp.org, that is actually pyp.org, where you will see all the Python packages, libraries. So you will see that there are 270,220 projects already available. So this many projects are available, so you can go through those libraries. Okay, so to install anything, you have to so use pure Python library for reading DH11 sensor data. So you will see pip install DH11 to read only DH11. So there are so many libraries already developed. Okay, so this is Adafruit library. So pip install Adafruit, DHT. Okay, so likewise you have libraries already. Okay, so you can use these libraries to install. It's very simple to install. You can try installing them. Okay, all of you. So simply use this command. You can copy by using this, and you can try installing this. Okay, so anyone trying with this? So if you are trying with these libraries, you can try with these libraries. There are many libraries meant for this. Okay, so there are you can try with different libraries. 1 minute, all of you. So see, it's a very simple to do this. If simple pip pip.org, so you will find many libraries in this. It's not just one single library. There are many libraries, and you can try doing this. Okay. So now once you have installed, so already I have this library. So it's saying that everything is available, right? So all of you, now I'll be importing my Adafruit library. Import Adafruit underscore DHT library. So I have imported my library, all of you. Once you import the library, the next step is you have to read the temperature and humidity values. To read temperature and humidity values, we have a method, okay, read underscore retry. So we'll be using that particular method, okay. So there is a method in this Adafruit underscore DHT, Adafruit underscore DHT. So this is a package. In this library, we have a method called as read underscore retry, read underscore retry. Okay, so this particular function requires two arguments. Remember, there are two arguments we have to provide. One argument is sensor type. Remember, all of you, one argument is sensor type. Another argument is pin number to which you have connected your sensor. So sensor type, there are different types of sensors in DHT. So DHT double one, DHT double two, so DHT 1 2. Okay, these are the different types of sensors available in DHT types. So you can check that over the internet, DHT sensors types. Okay, so you have to mention here what type of sensor you are using. Okay, so sensor type DH11, DH22, AM2302, and DHT12. So there are different sensors available. We are working with DHT11 here. Okay, so in this course we are trying to work with double one. So double one, you have to mention here sensor type double one, and then pin number. So I'll be using pin number. So how to find the pin number? So I'll be showing the pin number here. Pin out, when you type pin out here, you will see the Raspberry Pi pin out here. So there are pins GPIO. So in green color you will see all the GPIO pins. So I'll be connecting to physical 40, means GPIO 21. So I have connected already my sensor data pin to GPIO 21. So please connect to GPIO 21. Okay, we have to use GPIO 21 here. So 21, give here 21. So once you give, pass these two parameters, one is sensor type, another one is GPIO pin, then this particular function will read the values and we'll try to separate temperature and values. Okay, this library will do everything for us. Okay, so what exactly it is doing, so you are going to learn in the next session. Okay, so now h comma t, so it will be returning two values, one is humidity, another value is temperature. So we'll try to execute this statement, all of you. Press enter. Now you got h value 72, t value 30. Okay, now we'll start writing Python program. Okay, to get humidity and temperature values continuously, to read humidity and temperature values, we'll try to write a Python program. So I'll be coming out from this particular Python. So to come out from this Python command prompt, Python shell, you have to use Control Z. Okay, use Control Z, all of you. Now use the nano to create a Python program, nano gvp sensor.py. Create a program here. Now import Adafruit underscore DHT, and then import time module, because we are going to use time module for giving some delay. Okay, because in time module we have a method called as sleep. Okay, now create a infinite loop by using while true. So here I'll be writing the code to read the temperature and humidity values, all of you. H comma t is equal to Adafruit underscore DHT dot read underscore retry 11 comma 21, and then print here temperature, print temperature, and then same print humidity also. Right, so once you give these two values, next step is simply give some delay, time dot sleep. We want to give 2 seconds delay, give 2 seconds delay, all of you. Now everything is ready, so I'll be saving this program. Control O and press enter, Control X to close. Now run this program in Python 2. So now you are getting data, temperature 30 and humidity 70, right? So this will be printed every 2 seconds. Okay, you are getting this data, right, all of you? So now once you get the data, so what we are trying to do is we are getting data in the node, right? We are getting data in Raspberry Pi. Now we have to send the data to the cloud. Okay, ThingSpeak cloud, that is the next step. Okay, so this is clear to you, right, all of you? So everyone is clear to this is clear. Okay, so any problem with my voice, please let me know. Okay, if you are facing any issues. Okay, right. So now the next step, we will go to the next step, all of you. We will move to the next step. So you have the link, so please copy this link, all of you. This is the link. So we have to construct this URL. So how to construct the URL, I'll be showing you. Okay, construct the URL. So stop this program, press Ctrl C, go to the program, now we'll be creating URL here. URL is equal to, in double quotes, paste this URL. See, if you paste this URL, okay, fine, but the important thing is here field 1 is equal to 31, so we should provide here T value, right? Whatever may be the temperature value, we have to get that T value here, and whatever may be the humidity values, that humidity value should come at the field 2. Okay, to get that values, we can use the placeholders. So instead of 31, I'll be using a placeholder %D, and then here also I'll be using a placeholder %D, and then we have to mention here. So after this, please here use percentage without comma, don't give comma, percentage T comma H, percentage T comma H. So this is the tuple, we are providing a tuple here. Okay, so first percentage D is temperature and next percentage D is humidity. Okay, so we have done that. Now I'll be printing this URL. So we'll be printing this URL, all of you. Try to see how you will be. So we have constructed the URL. Once you construct the URL, next step is you'll be viewing the URL. Okay, please check the URL. Right, so you can see this URL. So now you can see the temperature here, field 1 is equal to 30 and field 2 equals 70. You are getting the data, right? The real-time data. Okay, so whatever may be the temperature and humidity values, we are passing those values into this field 1 and field 2, right? Once you get this data, so now URL is ready. Your URL is ready. So once URL is ready, the next step is we have to make GET request, HTTP GET request. We know how to make HTTP GET request. So to make the HTTP GET request, we have to use a module called as request. So we are going to use request module, all of you. Import request, and then here you have to use request.get, and then pass here URL. So very simple. Remember, we are sending data, we are not receiving data. So we'll be using here request.get in order to send data. So no need to get response object here. So in the previous session, we have seen R is equal to request.get because we are getting data. So we have to store the data into some response object. So we have taken R in the previous session, but now no need to have that response object to be created here. Okay, so we are sending data by using this request.get. So means we are using HTTP GET to send data from Raspberry Pi to your ThingSpeak cloud. Okay, so now press Control O and enter, Control X. Now run this code, all of you. Now you are getting this data here, 30 and 70. So you should see in your ThingSpeak platform, you should get the data. Okay, so I'll be clearing the data. So to clear the data, go to channel settings and clear channel. So want to clear all feed data from this channel? Yes, clear channel. Once you clear the channel, okay, save channel. Now you will be getting data to this temperature and humidity fields now. So we'll be getting data because I have already existing data is deleted. So you can see here now 30 and 70, right? So now I will try to change this humidity. Okay, by how we can change the humidity? Just we have to use some technique. So I'll be using some technique in order to change this humidity so that you will see some increase in humidity now. Okay. Now you should see some increase in humidity values, right? All of you can see. Okay, so because just I have increased it now, right? Okay, you should see here, humidity values are increased now. Same way you can see here that humidity values also. Okay, so in between it, they were increased and then those values are visible here. Temperature also increased a little bit. Okay, so this is clear, right? How to send data from Raspberry Pi to ThingSpeak cloud. It is simple. Okay, so you can do it in few minutes on your own, and it is all about how you need to understand this stack. Okay, so you need to understand the node design, and then you need to know the connecting to the network. In Raspberry Pi it is easy because this is a simple mini computer. Okay, because it works with the OS, so anyone can do this easily. Okay, right. So next step is we are going to work with the IBM cloud. Okay, so I'll be showing you few basics of IBM cloud. I don't think we are going to finish it, but so I'll be showing you overview how you can use IBM cloud platform. Okay. So remember all of you, so what we are trying to do is why we need to use IBM cloud platform. So IBM Watson IoT, you can connect sensors or actuators to the IBM Watson IoT. IBM Watson IoT is a platform for Internet of Things in IBM cloud. Okay, there are many things. So for IoT, we have IBM Watson IoT. So you can connect sensors or actuators to IBM Watson platform. So they says IBM Watson platform. You see that it is simple, secure, because there is a security is very essential in enterprise cloud. So when compared to ThingSpeak cloud, yes, obviously IBM cloud is secure because they use various cyber security techniques in order to make their devices deployed on their cloud more secure. At the same time, this is scalable also because you can deploy thousands of the products on the go. That is scalability of IBM Watson. Okay, so remember what we are trying to do today. Okay, so today, so you have a some node here. You will see smart home node where you will be having sensors and actuators interfaced. Now we want to control these sensors and actuators. So we want to control actuators and we want to monitor the sensor data in web UI. Okay, web user interface, some application app. Okay, to do that, So I'll be using here, for now to connect a device, it may be taking time. So I'll be using some simulator so that you can also do that. So instead of doing this, there is a simulator for us. So I'll be using a simple simulator for you here for this device place in place of device, and I'll be showing you Node-RED app, how to use Node-RED to design our own application, and how to use IBM Watson IoT to get data from this node to this platform. So we want to send data from this node to IBM Cloud. Once you send data from here to IBM Watson Cloud platform, the next step is we have to visualize this data. So in IBM Watson IoT platform, most of the people uses MQTT platform to send data from node to the cloud. At the same time, to display the data, also we use generally MQTT or HTTP. Okay, but for device to device communication, means for example your device node wants to communicate with the cloud. In that case, IBM prefers MQTT. Okay, whereas for interfacing with applications, generally they use HTTP. Okay, so first I'll be showing you IBM Cloud, how to create devices in IBM Cloud, and then sending data from this particular IBM sensor simulator to the cloud. After that, I'll be showing you how to design our own dashboard or application. Okay, this is clear to you, right? So because of time constraint, I'll be showing you that now instead of theory. Okay, right. So this is IBM Cloud. Once you sign in, all of you, once you sign in, you will see IBM dashboard here, cloud dashboard, and you will see here resource summary. Some of you may not be seeing all these resources because I have created resources for this demo session. Okay, so it will take some time for creating resources and all. Essentially, it requires 6 hours or at least 3 to 5 hours to do all these configurations and creating resources. So I'll be skipping them here because the essential thing I'll be showing you now. Okay, so in IoT Cloud, you have to create resources. What are the two important resources you have to create? One important resource, so if you go to here services, there are two important services we require. So now you will see here resource list. When you see the resource list, you will see the services in that Internet of Things platform. So this is the one single service. Okay, so supporting IoT in IBM, so it is very easy for us. Okay, you have to select this. Okay, how to select this? You have to go to catalog. In the catalog, you will see the services. You will see the services. In the services, you will see Internet of Things. So you will see this Internet of Things platform. So you have to select this and you have to configure this. Okay, so that is the one thing you have to do. Another one is you have to configure Node-RED also. You have to configure Node-RED. So there is a Node-RED app. So now directly I'll be getting Node-RED because already I have configured. Okay, you have to choose this and you have to start this. Okay, these are the two services you have to start using, all of you. Already I have configured them. Okay, so you can find them here, the services I am using. So I'm using Internet of Things and Node-RED service on the cloud end. Cloud end is a database of IBM. Okay, so it is running on cloud end with the cloud end. So Node-RED with the cloud end. So at the same time, Internet of Things platform also works along with the cloud end platform. Okay, so and then you will see here apps. This is my Node-RED application. Okay, I have configured this, and this is actually running on Node.js. Remember, Node-RED runs on Node JavaScript. Okay, so don't worry if you don't know much about Node JavaScript and all. Okay, just see everything. Okay, right. So now I'll be showing you the IoT platform. First, I'll be showing you IoT platform, all of you. So once you click on this, you'll be getting into this IBM Watson
Yes,
IoT
sir.
platform. Yes, yes, please.
Sir, actually, in IBM Cloud, how can we create an API, sir? Even one of the participants also asked the same question.
Okay. See, IBM requires much, configuration settings. We need to do many things like once you create IBM Watson. So I'll be showing you all of you. See here. So you can see my okay. So this is actually internetofthings.ibmcloud.com. So once you go to this, when you click on this IBM Watson, so I'll be showing you this. So once you create this, next step is you have to launch this. So when you click on this, it will be asking you to launch. So this is actually in IBM Cloud, there are many supports, IoT, machine learning, web development, Android application development. So we have to choose in the resource, we have to choose Internet of Things platform. Once you choose, then you have to launch it. So once you launch it, okay, so already I have a device here. Okay, you can see a device. So what you have to do is for creating so APIs or tokens, what you have to do is you have to create your own device. First, you have to create a device here. Remember. So to create APIs, what you have to do is you have to create a device. Okay, how to create a device? So you can add device here, and you will see here, device type. So you can give some device type here. You can select or you can create a device type. So for example, already I have one device. One is a device type. So if you don't have device type, then you have to click here, device. If you want to create a device types, go to device types. Okay, you will see here device types, device one. This is the actual device I have created for Node MCU. Okay, so if you want to create another device type, then you have to click here, add device type. Okay, where you'll be asked to create device or gateway. Okay, so simply give the name of the device or name of the gateway. Remember always, sometimes we want to add a device to the IBM cloud, or sometimes we want to add a gateway to the IBM Watson. Okay, for example, you are using your Raspberry Pi as a gateway, then you have to use gateway. Okay, you have to configure it as a gateway. If you are using your Raspberry Pi as a device, then you have to use this device. Okay, so you have to give some name here and you have to give the description. So device 2, and then description, Node MCU, some device 2 here. Give some information about this and click next. Okay, and it will be asking you the serial number, model number, description, hardware version, manufacturer, device class, firmware, description, location. So you can give all these details, and you can register devices and all. So it will take couple of seconds. Shall I go forward with the creation of the device, or it is better to show you entire application because we have 17 minutes time? What is better for you? So because it's important to know more about deployment, because device creation you can do step by step when you go forward. Yes, Sandeep.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So because you'll be missing many important things if I go forward. Okay,
Okay, sir. Okay.
right. So what I'm trying to do is I'll be using existing so that it will be easy for you. So this is my existing device. Okay, device. So we have created device ID. This is my device, and device type is device one, device class. Okay. Once you create, remember all of you, once you complete registration, you'll be getting API key generated, and you have to store that details, because once API key generated, okay, see here. So this is during the creation. During the creation, you will be having organization ID, you'll be having device type, device ID. So we are creating them. These two we are creating. This will be given by the IBM Cloud, organization ID, and then authentication method and authentication token. These two will be generated once you complete this device configuration. Okay, device creation once done, you'll be getting authentication method and authentication token. You have to store them separately in your some notepad or Word document. Otherwise, it is very difficult to get it. Again, you won't see this authentication token once you create and done. You won't find this. So in such case, you have to store them separately. Okay, all the credentials should be stored separately in your computer. Okay, so now we have the device, all of you, but this device is not yet connected. Remember, this is disconnected. Now how to connect this device? To connect this device, now I'll be using a simulator here. So I'll be showing you a simulator here. So there is a IBM sensor simulator. You can search it in Google. All of you can search it in Google. Okay, IoT simulator sensor. Once you open this, you will see this. Okay, once you open this, it will be asking you these details. Enter device information to connect to the IoT platform. So what I'm trying to do is, instead of using my Raspberry Pi or Node MCU for time being, I'm showing you this particular simulator. So directly it will be working like as a device. So this actually simulator is containing temperature, humidity, and object temperature, 3 parameters, means 3 sensors. You can simulate 3 sensors. Now first thing is we have to connect this simulator to your IBM Watson IoT platform. So this is important, right? So you can use this in your mobile phone or somewhere. It may not be in your computer. Okay, you may not you don't no need to use both in the same computer. So from anywhere you can use this simulator. Okay, so but you have to connect this simulator with this particular Watson IoT platform. Remember, when you see this diagram here, so here instead of smart home I am using here a simulator. So the simulator should be connected to this IBM Watson platform. To connect a simulator to the IBM Watson IoT platform, what we require? Okay, so we require 4 important parameters. These 4 should be available with you. Okay, these 4 will be available while creating a device. Once you create a device, you will be getting all these 4 parameters, all of you. Once you get all these 4 parameters, simply copy these parameters, organization ID, give organization ID here, and then give device type here, device type, device type, and then give device ID, and then finally you have to provide device token. This is essential, and this is a secret key, but most of you are seeing my key, no problem. Okay, so now save changes, save changes. Once you save changes, connecting and connected, now you will see that my device, so it is connected now. Once it is connected, now you will see that here you will see a green mark indicating that your device is connected. So it is showing that my device is connected. Okay, so you will see the device information, recent events. So we have to get data from the sensor. So I'll be getting the data from the sensor. This is the event, this is the value, format is JSON format, and last received a few seconds ago. What data I'm getting here? So I'm getting here a JSON object. Remember all of you, the event name is IoT sensor. So I have received at November 5, 2020 at 1:18 p.m. So I am receiving the data. That data is the data coming from this IoT simulator. So what data we are getting? 17 temperature. So I am getting 17 temperature. And if you go to the next sensor, you will see humidity 79%. So we are getting humidity 79% here. And then we have another parameter, another sensor here, object temperature, that is 25 degrees centigrade. So we are getting that temperature here, 25 degrees centigrade. Okay, so this is how you are getting data from a simulator. Suppose instead of simulator you want to connect a Node MCU or Raspberry Pi, some node. So prime essential thing is these 4 important parameters. If you want to connect any device to the IBM cloud, then you need these 4 parameters: device ID, device type, and then you require organizational ID and token, authentication token. These 4. Authentication token is nothing but API key. Okay, so generally people will call token or API keys. Okay, so vice versa. Okay, this is clear to right. Now how to see this data in a dashboard? Now you want to create your own dashboard. To create the dashboard, okay, so you will see here board. Can you see the boards, all of you? So here I have a boards available here. I can create a new board also. So I'll be using existing board. Okay, so there are no cards here, also no cards. So sensor data board is there. So click on this. So there are no cards here. So you can use this board for sensor data visualization. For sensor data visualization in IBM Watson cloud platform. Okay, so for doing that, please click on add new card, add new card. Then you will see you can visualize general visualization or line chart, bar chart, donut chart, value, gauges, You can use different types of pictorial representation of data. So I'll be taking line chart here. Take a line chart. Once you take a line chart, now you have to select the devices. So the device, I'll be selecting here my device, because we are getting data into my device. Okay, so select this and then click on next. Now we have to connect the data set to this particular card. Okay, so connect new data set. So give the new data set name. What is the new data set name? So here you will see event. So you have to provide event. What is the event, all of you? So you have seen the name of the event. What is the name of the event? Anyone? Please tell me what is the name of the event. Do you remember that? Yes. So there is a question from Hemalata madam. Okay. So remember, this is not chargeable and don't require credit card. IBM Watson IoT is so good because to experiment for doing research, it is free for to some extent. Okay, so to some extent, so no need to worry. It is not going to charge because we are not giving our credit card details. But AWS IoT and Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud, we have to give our um, credit cards, though they don't charge, but still, if you don't, if you forgot to remove the credit card and you are using that platform, then sometimes you have to pay money for that. But with the IBM Cloud, no need to provide any payment option. Credit card information is not to be given to that. Okay, right. Right, all of you. What is the event name? Do you remember the event name? Anyone in the class? Anyone? Okay, so fine. So we have seen that is IoT sensor. IoT sensor is the event name. And then property, there are total 4 properties: humidity, name, object temperature, and then temperature. So I'll be taking temperature here. The name is temperature, and text, it is not a text, it is a number type. Units, I want to take degree centigrade, and the range is 0 to 100. Click on next, and you should see here you can preview here your graph. Okay, you can preview your graph here. Click on next and change some good color here and submit. Now you will be seeing your data visualized here. So you can change the time here. You can see here temperature. Okay, temperature values. Now it is 17, and you can change this temperature to more. For example, I can increase this temperature to 27, and you can see that here. Now it is 27, right? So you can create your own dashboard in IBM Cloud, all of you. So it is possible, and you can do that. Okay. So this is clear to you, right, all of you? Is this clear to you, all of you? So same way you can do with the humidity also. Okay, you can do with the object temperature also. But suppose this is not that much, because you are visualizing this in IBM Cloud. But suppose you want to play with that, you want to use some own application, you want to design your own application, and you want to deploy that application, okay, in IBM Cloud itself. Remember, IBM Cloud supports Node-RED application. So Node-RED is very useful, very simple. Anyone can use for IoT product development. Okay, I'll be showing you how to visualize this sensor data in Node-RED cloud platform. So that is our next concept I'll be covering, all of you. So any questions you can ask me meanwhile, if you have any questions. Okay, right. Any questions regarding this, all of you? Do you have any questions? Okay, so I'll be going forward. Right. So I'll be opening this is my Node-RED. Okay, so already I have this Node-RED application. So I'll be closing this. You can see that in IBM Cloud. Go to IBM Cloud. Yes, yes, please. So unable to hear your voice. Okay, somebody is trying to talk, right? Okay, fine. So your voice is not audible to me. You can type in the chat box. Please try to chat. Okay. Right. So next step we'll be deploying. So go to Cloud Foundry applications. Go to Cloud Foundry. Okay, now in Cloud Foundry we have app, Node-RED. Click this app, all of you. Okay, so please, mute everything, all the mics, please. Right. So now you will see this visit app URL. Please click on visit app URL, all of you. Once you click on, you will see Node-RED on IBM Cloud. So we'll be using Node-RED, deployed on IBM, because Node-RED being supported by IBM. So this Node-RED is actually working with Node JavaScript server. Okay, so it is very fast and very useful. This is a flow-based programming for Internet of Things, all of you. So please go to Node-RED Flow Editor. Once you click on this, you'll be seeing Node-RED Flow Editor, where you'll be creating applications by using flows. Okay, I'll be creating flow 4 here. So I'll be showing you how to create the flows. So to create the flow, okay, so to get the data from IBM, okay, into this platform, we have IBM nodes. So take the node here. This is the IBM IoT node. Please click this, and we'll be configuring this, all of you. To configure this, you have to click here and select API key. So now, you will see API key. Click here for API keys, where you will get these API keys. Okay, to get the API keys, go to IBM Watson platform, go to security, go to apps. In the apps, okay, you can create these API keys. Generate API key will help you to generate. So already I have generated an API key for standard application to connect my Node-RED app with the this particular IBM Watson IoT platform. Okay, right. So now go to this Node-RED. So already I have those details, all of you. So you have to create that, okay, token. So this is API key, and this is the token. These two should be generated, okay, in IBM Watson IoT platform for connecting apps. Okay, so this is my API key. So I'll be copying this API key. So give this API key here, and then token, give the token also, give the token here. And then next step is you have to provide the server name. This is the server name. So this server name is generally organizational ID dot messaging dot internet of things dot ibmcloud.com. So you have to provide here organizational ID. Okay, I have given here organizational ID. So you have to give your organization ID. So this is my organization ID. Okay, you have to provide your organization ID here, and then update. So now the next step is select the input type. So device event. To get the sensor data, we have to use device event. To control, you have to use device command, because we want to get sensor data. We are using device event, and then device types. Paste here device type. You have the device type here, device 1. So I'll be going a little bit faster here, all of you. Device type, and then give device ID also. And then event. So we have the event. What is the name of the event, all of you? IoT sensor, right? And then format is JSON. Done. Now if you click deploy, so to run this application, you have to click deploy. So okay, fine, confirm deploy. So now you should see here connected. Can you see here connected, all of you? So all of you can see here IBM IoT connected. Okay, now we have to check the data. To check the data, coming to this IBM IoT, take a debug node. This is the debug node, all of you. Take a debug node. So we have to connect these two. It's very simple. So you will see here a gray dot. Click on the gray dot, you will get a wire. So please connect that wire here to this message.payload. Once you connect, deploy here, confirm deploy. Now you should see in the debug messages, when you click here debug messages, you are getting message here. What is the message you are getting? Please check that message. Name my device, temperature 27, humidity 79, object temperature 25. So you are getting entire object now to this IBM IoT, and we are getting that into message.payload, and the data is available here in the debug. So when I click on the debug message, I am seeing the data. So I'll be getting the data continuously here. Okay, now the next step is how to visualize this data. To visualize this data, so first we have to separate the data. So we have to separate temperature and humidity values, because we are getting object here. This object is containing temperature, humidity, object temperature, but this is a object format. So we have to separate temperature and humidity values. To separate, I'll be using a function here. Use a function. We have to write JavaScript here. Okay, msg.payload, message.payload is equal to msg.payload, payload dot. So the object name is D. In the D, we have temperature. Okay, so and then we are returning message. Okay, so please do that, all of you. Once you do that, okay, connect from here to here, and then take debug node, and then click here, connect here, and check here. You should get temperature now, all of you. You have to get temperature now. Separately, it should print. Now you are seeing temperature 27 here. Okay, now take another function to separate humidity values also. Write a code here, JavaScript code here. So msg.payload, we are separating humidity from the object, JSON object, all of you. msg.payload dot d dot humidity. Okay, right, done. So now take debug node and deploy. So now we are getting both temperature and humidity values, 27 and 79, right? So how to display this data? How to visualize this data? We are seeing just in the debug messages. Okay, but I want to, have some visualization. To have the visualization, all of you, go to dashboard. Nodes. There are dashboard nodes, all of you. So this is the dashboard node. I'll be taking here gauge. Take a gauge here. Take another gauge. I'll be taking two gauges, one gauge for temperature, another gauge for humidity. So Sandeep sir, so if time is over, you can ask me to stop. So if you allow me for 2 or 3 more minutes, I can go forward. Is that okay for you? If I go forward.
Sir, okay, sir, you can continue.
Okay. Right. Thank you. Right. So all of you, this is the gauge. Okay, so the output of this function means the temperature is available here. The temperature should be connected to this gauge. Same way here, the function output is humidity. So you have to connect that humidity to this gauge. So now we want to configure these two gauges. So click on this gauge. Now here you have to configure. So I'll be monitoring in Appleton front office. Okay. So in the office room, so I don't want to change everything here. And then type is gauge. You can take here do not or compass or level. So I'll be keeping here gauge. Label temperature, and then units. You can give any units like degree C or something here. Minimum value 0, maximum up to 100, or you can give up to 50. Okay, and you can choose the color. Okay, so and then give the name for this temperature gauge. Right, done. Okay, so once you're done with this, so we are ready with the temperature gauge. Same way, go with the humidity gauge also. Right, this is clear to you, right, all of you, what we have done here. Same way, click on here. Okay, so same gauge, I'll be using label humidity, and then units percentage, because this is the relative humidity we are measuring here. Generally, it will be in percentage. It will be up to 100. Okay, right. Humidity, done. Okay, now we are ready. Deploy now. Deploy. Right, so we have deployed. So it is everything is ready. So now we have to open the dashboard. To open the dashboard, please click here the dashboard icon. Once you click the dashboard icon, here you will see a link to open the dashboard. Click on this to open the dashboard. Now you will see the dashboard here. Now you will see temperature and humidity, right? You can see this dashboard. All of you can see this dashboard, right? You are getting this dashboard, right? You can see this data here. So I'll be pasting this link because all of you will be getting this link, all of you. So you can use this. This is my dashboard. You can view my dashboard. Okay, the temperature and values in your mobile phone. Okay, you can do that, all of you. So right. So I can change the values from here, and for example, increase this value. and in the dashboard you should see that value increased 36. Okay, so you can reduce the humidity values. So you can provide this link to anybody can see this. Now whatever maybe the changes that we have done, all those changes are coming here, right? You can see all the changes here, right? Is this clear to you, right, all of you? So how to design a simple dashboard, okay, for research. So you can do this, okay, you can add many components here. You can do, there are many facilities in Node-RED, all of you. It's not just one. You can try with many things. You can even have machine learning because it supports IBM Watson also. So it supports, artificial intelligence, and you can add many nodes here. So if you want to study more about Node-RED, okay, you can go to this link and you try to understand about Node-RED. It is easy to work with, okay. And main advantage is you can run this in Raspberry Pi also. Okay, anyone having Raspberry Pi, you can directly run this in Raspberry Pi also, right? That is the advantage. So I'll be copying this URL. So this is in the Raspberry Pi. You can learn in Raspberry Pi if you have a Raspberry Pi. Okay, so your Node-RED will load in Raspberry Pi. So same thing you can try and design in your Raspberry Pi. Once everything is good, you can deploy in your node also. Okay, right, all of you. So I hope most of you are able to understand things. Okay, learn more about this Node-RED here. Okay, there is a documentation here, so you will see the documentation. There are many tutorials here, so it is easy for you to learn and explore. So thank you all. Thank you for your active participation. Okay, so most of you are engaged much. Okay, so I hope so. So thank you, Madam Krishnavedi Madam, for giving me this opportunity to interact with to give some basics of IoT. Okay, don't think that this is only IoT. Okay, this is the just beginning. Okay, you can learn more. Thank you. Yeah, thank you,
Thank you,
Sanjay.
sir. Thank you very much, sir. That's a very informative session. You have covered topics on how to keep a proposal, a funding proposal, and later you have explained on how to use ThinkSpeak and IBM Cloud. In fact, the time given to you is too short. It is not a topic to be covered just in 1.5 to 2 hours, but we need to accommodate other resource persons. That is the only reason we have given a lesser time slot. But however, we wish to have a further sessions with you, sir. And in fact, our participants also enjoyed the session very well. Now it's time for the participants to ask any questions if they are having. We are having some 5 minutes time. Yes, Sajid sir, yes, we can plan that for a 5-day workshop on IoT. Yes, we will we will schedule it shortly and we'll come back to you on that.
Yes, so yes, we are interested, and Sandeep and Krishnaveni Madam also very interested in IoT, and she's actually working in DST projects also together in a team. So yes, they are doing a lot, and they are actually interested to share that knowledge also. Okay, so they have IoT hub in their institution, and most of you faculty can use that facility. Yes, so if it is possible, then we can provide in collaboration with Krishnaveni Madam and team to give some FDP on full IoT using different cloud platforms on sensor integration. We will try to do that. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Sir, please stop sharing your screen, sir. And participants, all of you unmute your cameras. We'll have a small photograph, screenshot we'll have. Opposite, sir. Thank you, one and all. Again, we'll meet you at 2:30 p.m. Thank you so much.